It's Sports Night Radio. It is Mother's Day, and we're going to tell you this. It's the NHL playoff update. We're going to start off with the Vancouver Canucks against the Chicago Blackhawks. As Marsh likes to think, that's his little omen over there, the Blackhawks. Now they're going to lose now. I got to say, in this series, the reason I think that right now Vancouver might not win the series is
because they're down 3-2, maybe?
No. In game number 4, Vancouver was winning by 1 goal. And they didn't do anything. They sat back and they just wanted to win by 1 goal. They weren't pushing. They weren't doing anything. That and the fact that Matt Sundin, you haven't done anything for this team. A big letdown. All the people, everything is rolling. The greases are rolling. Every single line is rolling for the Chicago Blackhawks. All the guys are doing what they have to do. They're all producing the way that they should be producing. Mark said it last week. Some people say that the Chicago Blackhawks have no experience. Well, you know what? Someone should send them that memo because they're playing like a really great team. Vancouver, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to put this back, not to you, Mark, because you know we have a big mouth on this. Let's go to Randy, and we're going to go to Banks, and then we're going to Nash.
Let's. Well, I'm a bit biased as well because I can't stand Vancouver, but as a Flames fan. Talk against Chicago having all these young players. They didn't have experience. Well, they have experience now. Something almost 2 rounds. They went to 6 against Calgary, and they started game 6 against Vancouver. They have a young team. They played well together for the last 2 or 3 years. They're good to go. The team hasn't changed that much in the last couple of years. It's not like the Leafs who changed players. They're half their roster every season. So,
and they've answered Roberto Luongo pretty well.
Yep. Yeah.
They can come back. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, Vancouver was my pick this year for Cup champion, even though I obviously don't like them. Being a Leafs fan, we don't like anyone else in Canada. Sorry. But, I mean, the Hawks have been able to capitalize on the low momentum that Vancouver's had recently, and it just shows, right? Like, as you guys were saying, experience really doesn't mean a whole lot when it comes down to the line.
Yeah, no, some of the best teams have just come from absolutely nowhere, and they've won. You know, you could just have a goaltender steal you a series. Same thing like these players, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Patrick Sharp, and Havok. They have stolen this series, and the young guys on the 4th line of Chicago have stolen this series. Ash, what have you been thinking of this?
I'm very, very disappointed in Vancouver this year. I thought even when it came out last night with so much energy and enthusiastic to come back and just give it to Chicago, and there was none of that. Like, I'm very disappointed in them. You can't only depend on Luongo, you can't only depend on Matt Sundin or the Sundin brothers. They're great players, but without the rest of the team behind them, it's not good. It's not good for them.
Before I end this with March, I'm just going to say this. Vancouver is playing with individual talent. The Blackhawks are playing with a team talent and a team concept. That is the difference right now, and that's why Chicago Blackhawks are winning. I still predict this is going to go to 7 games. March, final word on this.
I think I'm going to shock all of you. Everybody knows where I stand with this. You know I love the Hawks. But you know what? I have to admit, they haven't played well. They're up 3-2. I'll be honest, they've been lucky to be there. It's not like Vancouver hasn't played well neither. It's just, like I said from the start, the Hawks, what I've really noticed about them this year, no matter where they are, if they're down 3 games or 3 goals or whatever, this is a resilient team. The youth, like Randy was saying, and there's nothing about that anymore. They've played together, like you said, for a couple of years. They've had a couple of rounds now. They're starting to get a feel for it. And it was always going to be the Luongo this against Happy Bull, and everybody thought, all this. It doesn't matter. I had picked Chicago in 6, possibly 7. Hey, it's not over yet. I'm not saying it's over. But you know what? Everybody's talking about 2-3 years down the line. It's not going to be like that. Hopefully the Hawks will get into the conference finals this year.
Okay, let's talk about Boston and Carolina. This is a...
Shocker of shocks.
Yeah. Does Carolina win this game tonight? Is it over today?
If Boston keeps playing the way they are, absolutely. They need to go out there and they need to go hard and they need to pass and they just skate hard and back check.
Is this the Cam Ward that won the Stanley Cup back in 2006?
Yeah.
Is this Cam Ward?
Pulling out some saves.
Yeah. Randy?
Well, the big thing with Boston is like Tim Thomas was one of the main reasons he got the playoffs, and he doesn't seem to have the drive that he had in the first round against Montreal, and they're a big player, and the other grinders, they're not quite doing what they need to do right now.
And they haven't been forced with any adversity whatsoever in the playoffs so far. And Carolina right now is putting them into some spots. And Eric Stahl, this guy's
possessed.
On fire.
Yeah. Eric Stahl, this is a player possessed. I've been watching the last couple of games. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of the Carolina games, but I've seen a couple of that he's been playing. I'm like, wow, where did this guy come out of? And the other surprising things about this, you got a couple of cast-off players like Jussi Jokinen that they picked off waivers. And Sergei Samsonov, that you thought this guy's career was done. Where are these guys coming out of? They're playing as a team. They believe. And yeah, you know what? Cam Ward is out dueling Tim Thomas right now. Now you got the next game in Boston. Maybe Boston still has a game in them left, but you know what? There's no way they're going to beat Carolina here.
We
Maybe
know
what?
Boston
Maybe
has.
6.
Boston can win, and Boston can win 4 games straight.
Yeah.
They're that good of a team.
But not when you get a team that's playing so well like
They
Carolina.
need to win the next game.
Like Carolina is not winning by fluke. They're winning because they're playing really well.
They've been playing really well for the last month and a half. They fought to get into the season. They were basically in the playoffs 2 weeks before the regular season ended. They came back from nowhere. Everybody thought they were out of the playoffs, and they fought back into the playoffs and continued playing like that ever since.
Let's talk about another team that came into the playoffs on a hot streak and took out the San Jose Sharks, the Anaheim Ducks, going up against the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I picked Anaheim in the first round. I picked them again in the second round. Series is tied right now 2-2. We've been watching this series. Jaguar, sorry, I can't say his name.
Yeah.
I predict he's going to start tonight's game.
I don't think so.
I think he will.
You got to go with Jonas Hiller. You got to go with what got you there anyways. What, just because you lose one game, you're going to put him in? No. Both teams are very evenly matched. And like I said, why would you count Detroit out? They got a super team. It's tied 2-2, and it should. And I said it'll go 7 games to Detroit.
Yeah.
I think Detroit's going to take it. They're full of men. They're experienced. They're men. They're not little boys out there trying to skate around and prove something. They have
You
nothing
like
to prove.
men.
You gotta love a man.
They're
He's out there.
powerful,
And
you
they
know?
all know 3 steps ahead what's going to happen. They're all where
They've
they
been there
should
before.
be. They're
They've been
passing
there
here.
before.
They're passing
So then
there.
how
They're
have
so
they
in
lost?
sync.
How have they lost 2 games, and how is the series tied 2-2 if they haven't been able to
But
play against the boys?
But they're not playing like a horrible team. Anaheim is they just won the cup like a couple of years ago.
Right.
The, only
They're
thing,
playing a good
the difference will come to the second and third lines. I mean, Anaheim right now I think they have the best power line in the league, and their goaltending is probably even with Osgood and Hiller. But when you look at the secondary scoring and the third, and then even the fourth line of Detroit, will make
That's
the
where you see
difference.
the power of the
Oh,
Detroit
of
Red
course,
Wings.
of course.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, Anaheim's given them some trouble, but this is a team that has vision, as you were saying. You know, they've got the strong guys, they've got the experience. You know, they're going to pick it up when the pressure comes on.
right.
You know, they're
Yeah.
not just going to maybe do a Boston, let the pressure get to them,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. They've been
I
there
think Detroit's definitely going to take it. Might go to 7. I definitely think it'll go to 7. So, but yeah, I think they actually could have a good chance of taking the cup.
We'll see about that. Well, that's for another discussion when they play the Hawks.
What's the biggest surprise so far in this series, would you say?
The series, that Anaheim's even in. Honestly, I thought Detroit would just run right.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought San Jose would run right through them, but
Yeah.
Anaheim surprised me.
Is making it competitive. Okay, so let's go to the last series that we're going to talk about. Everybody's talking about, and it's my favorite. The refs calling everything against the star of the NHL and calling everything for him, I should say. Sidney Crosby, the Pittsburgh Penguins, up on the Washington Capitals 3-2. I predicted the Capitals would win this. Obviously, I think the NHL wants the Penguins to win this. I truly believe that. The keys, I can't even say this series. I don't even think it's evenly matched. I think Washington is not playing them in this series, and I also think that Washington needs to put Theodore back in nets. Oh yes.
I don't think Theodore needs to go back in net. I just think Varlamov needs to learn how to work his glove.
Yeah.
Tip off the glove
Yeah.
through here, over here. Work your glove.
Pittsburgh
That's
has
his
figured
weak
that out
side.
now. Yeah,
they
it's his weak
figured it
side.
out
Yeah.
after so many games, and they're on to him.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
That's his experience as well. He's never been to the big team. He didn't even start all season. They start him digging into the playoffs. He's been playoffs, a rookie goaltender. You don't know what you're going to get. He's not up to the pressure.
But
Yeah, it's
the one thing that hasn't disappointed is the series. Like, come on, wow, what a series!
It's a exciting
Washington
series.
winning the first 2, Pittsburgh taking the next 3. I had said Pittsburgh in 7 anyways, but you know what? It's like I said, it's going to be really poor that one of them has to leave, because this is the series that could have been like awesome for like the finals.
Final word to Binks.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's pretty risky putting in. You don't have
Yeah.
Theodore in there. And last night, a couple of interesting bounces, and it looks like this playoff series is going to be up in the air. I don't know who's
Thing
going to
of
get
luck
it.
that's
this
true.
series. It's bounces here, bounces there, and
Should go 7 games. Hopefully.